I'm literally so excited about this video, like I'm shaking. Hello my loves and welcome to my channel. I am literally so excited to film this video. I literally walked through the door about 10 minutes ago and I just instantly just wanted to hit record and share with you the books that I have just bought, but not just those books, but also the books that I got for Christmas as well. I have, was it 12 or 11? It's like 11 or 12 books to share with you today, and I am so excited I can barely breathe. So the first book I want to share with you is a book that I found in a charity shop for £1.60, and I just couldn't leave it there. It's very relevant to my degree, and I feel like it's one of those books where you have to at least try and read it once in your life, especially if you're doing a degree similar to mine, anything in an environmental science or conservation, animal behaviour, just anything in that realm. I feel like this is a book you need to read. On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. I found this in my local charity shop, and when I saw it I was like, you're coming home with me. But like I say, I feel like this is one of those books where, especially in my degree, I feel like I have to try and at least read it once. I have read like snippets of it here and there, but to try and actually sit down and read the whole thing, I do feel like it might be a bit of a challenge, but at the same time, the bits that I've read, I have found absolutely fascinating. If you didn't know, Charles Darwin is the naturalist, or one of the naturalists, that came up with the theory of evolution. I say one of. He's the one that published this book and published the theory of evolution, but he did work with Alfred Russel Wallace as well, and they both kind of simultaneously came up with the theory. But tangent aside, this is the book that essentially caused a lot of controversy when it came to evolution and how species evolve and adapt and essentially come to exist. In my degree, this is a very heavily referenced text, and Charles Darwin is obviously a very prolific naturalist, scientist, biologist. So to read his work would honestly, it would be a privilege, and to say that I've gotten through one of his works would be phenomenal. I mean, just look at this. The next 4 books were given to me as Christmas presents. 4 books? 5 books. The next 5 books were given to me as Christmas presents. So, I need a sip of my tea. I need to take a minute. I'm literally like ecstatic right now. I've been like shaking with excitement to go book shopping today, and I feel like I'm still on this high, and I feel like I just need to take a minute. Take a deep breath with me, okay? I needed this cup of tea, that's for sure. Okay, so the first 3 books were given to me by my sister, but I was her secret Santa, and she hit the nail on the head. It's more because I kind of specifically asked for these, but I didn't think I was actually going to get them, and yet here we are. She got me 3 books. The first book she got me was The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. I saw this book originally in a Elliot Brooks video, like a fantasy recommendations video, and ever since she was talking about it, I have not been able to get it off my mind. When I unwrapped my presents and I saw this book, I lost my mind. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this. This is the first book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, and from what I can gather, I believe this follows 3 perspectives, but I could be wrong. So from what I can gather, it's a fantasy where these 3 misfits are kind of semi-forced together to work together to, I don't know, it's like there's like a war, or they need to try and prevent a war. I'm not too sure, but I'm very, very looking forward to reading this. So then the next book, oh, I'm so excited to read. I love this author's work. I have just read her most recent duology and I loved it, so I knew I needed to pick up more of her work. I've loved works of her in the past. When I asked for this for Christmas and I got it, I was very happy. That is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is a Queen of Hearts retelling. So if you don't know, Marissa Meyer is quite prolific for her fairy tale retelling. She wrote the Lunar Chronicles. She wrote her most recent duology, which is the Gilded duology, which was a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. And this, I believe, is her only standalone, but I might be wrong. It's definitely a standalone, but it's essentially the origin, I believe, of the Queen of Hearts and how the Queen of Hearts became who she was in the well-known Alice in Wonderland story. I'm so looking forward to picking this up. She is so good at rewriting a fairy tale but still giving it its own original twist. I'm so looking forward to reading this. And then the next book, and when I saw this, I nearly cried because I have not been able to find this book in any bookshops anywhere. I know I can always order books online, but sometimes you just can't beat going into a bookshop and getting the book in your hands there and then. So when I saw this, I nearly cried because one of my favourite series duologies of 2022 was by this author, and I have wanted to pick this up for ages, ever since I finished that duology and her other series, King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I am so ready to re-enter the Grishaverse. I am obsessed with this world that Leigh Bardugo has created. The Six of Crows duology, I cannot rave about it enough. I raved about it so much on this channel already, so I won't go into it. Shadow and Bone trilogy I did enjoy, nowhere near as much as the Six of Crows duology. The King of Scars is the first in her newest duology. The second one is Rule of Wolves, I believe. This, from what I can gather, follows on from the events of Six of Crows, and it follows our characters Nikolai, Zoya and Nina. Oh gosh, and I freaking love Nina. She was one of my favourite characters in the Six of Crows duology, but to be fair, I loved every single character in the Six of Crows, every single one. So the fact that I'm going to be re-entering this world and following one of those characters again, I'm so excited for. I'm so hyped for it. I am ready. I just cannot believe I finally have this in my hands, and I just want to read it right now. Right now. So the next book I got for Christmas was from my other sister, and she very kindly got me The Comfort Book by Matt Haig. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I have read one of his works before. I read The Midnight Library by him. I did enjoy it. I think I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. I remember just not being massively overwhelmed by that book, even though it has been very highly hyped and it is highly loved. But I've already kind of had a little flip through this and I already love it. It's a non-fiction book. The introduction says, and this is from the author, I sometimes write things down to comfort myself. Stuff learned in the bad times, thoughts, meditations, lists, examples, things I want to remind myself of, or things I've learned from the other people or other lives. It is a strange paradox that many of the clearest, most comforting life lessons are learned while we are at our lowest. But then we never think about food more than we are hungry, and we never think about life rafts more than when we are thrown overboard. So, these are some of my life rafts, the thoughts that have kept me afloat. I hope some of them might carry you to dry land too. Oh, and it's just, again, just a collection of stories, personal stories, or just tidbits of advice. I think there's some poetry in here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this a little bit more, and I'll probably end up either highlighting or annotating it, annotating favourite bits and things like that. But from what I can tell, this is going to be a nice comfort book, as the title suggests. The next book is the last book that I got for Christmas, and this is a book that my boyfriend got me, and that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the first book in the Crescent City series, which is her new adult fantasy series, I believe. I am so terrified yet so excited to read this book. I'm trying to go in semi-blind with it. I know a little bit about it, but not loads. All I know is that there is it fays and demons? And I think it's enemies to lovers. I think it's a bit of a murder mystery as well. Again, this is all like what I'm gathering from the blurb. A demon murdered one of her closest friends, and 2 years later, when the killer is supposedly behind bars, the killings start again. So her and fallen angel hunt Athalar. They basically have to team up to uncover the truth. I am really looking forward to reading this, but it's just so daunting. Oh my god, it's so big! 803 pages. So, wow. Okay, so then the next books are the books that I bought today with Christmas money. So I guess they are Christmas presents still, but I bought them for myself. Rolling on from House of Earth and Blood, we're sticking with our Sarah J. Maas theme, and I think you guys can probably predict where this is going to go. So I picked up the rest of the ACOTAR series. A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I saw this as a sign because this was the last copy in the shop. So when I saw that, I like ran for it. I was like, you're coming home with me. So I saw that and I was like, it's a sign, I have to get it. So we've got A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then A Court of Silver Flames. So from what I can gather, A Court of Wings and Ruin is the last book in the first half of this series, so this will still be following Feyre. So I am really looking forward to wrapping up that storyline and seeing where it goes. I rewatched my reading vlog of A Court of Mist and Fury, and one of the things that I said was I felt like Sarah J. Maas was trying to reach a wider audience with her writing, so she wasn't fully letting herself kind of explore the way she wanted to. And I said I feel like she was doing that because she was kind of catering towards YA, but I've heard that from this book onwards it's adult. So I'm hoping I will enjoy this a little bit more than A Court of Mist and Fury, and I am really looking forward to picking this up. So then obviously we've got A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a much shorter book. I believe this is a novella, and this is kind of like the bridge between the first part of the series and the second part, and we'll be following Nesta, which is one of Feyre's sisters. So I'm really looking forward to exploring her character because I really liked her character from the first book. If you've watched my previous reading vlogs of the ACOTAR books, I said from the get-go that I really liked Nesta. She's just someone, she's protective, she loves her family, and she's just come on hard times, and she's just put up these walls to protect herself and her family. And I respect that. And I know a lot of people don't like her character, but I think from what I can gather, from A Court of Wings and Ruin onwards, Wings and Ruin onwards, people tend to warm to her a bit more, but I liked her from the get-go. So I'm really looking forward to delving into her story a lot more. And I think we're introduced to that in this book, but we are definitely introduced to it in A Court of Silver Flames. From what I can gather, this book follows Nesta and her story. I am really looking forward to delving into that. I haven't read the back of either of these because obviously I don't want to spoil myself for what happens in A Court of Wings and Ruin, so I know very little about the plot of these. I think from what I can gather, this is like a Christmassy novella where they're trying to buy each other presents for the winter solstice, so it's like just a fun little filler book. And then this is basically following Nesta after the events of Aka War. So I'm so excited to delve back into this world. I know I said in my A Court of Mist and Fury reading vlog there were moments where I was debating on DNFing the series, but I've clearly not followed that. So I'm so excited to get back into this world. I really, really am. The next book that I picked up, again, we have seen this author in this video already. I love her work. The second book to this is coming out this month, so I'm seeing this book and the sequel absolutely everywhere at the minute, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again, this was in my autumn TBR, but I just never got around to picking it up for myself. But now I have, and I'm so ready. I know this has had some mixed reviews, but I'm going to go into it a little open-minded. I know it's a dark academia book, it's dark fantasy, I still think. You know, I'm not expecting Grishaverse. I know that's not what I'm going to get when I read this book, but I'm still so excited. It sounds so interesting. I'm pretty sure, again, I think this is a murder mystery, so I'm very much looking forward to delving into this. And like I said, the second book is being released this month, so if I enjoy this, then I'll probably go just pick up the second book straight away. Let's be real. But, I feel like this is a very much continuation of authors / series haul. The next book it was a bit of an impulse buy, but one of my favourite booktubers, Faith's Reading Things, she mentioned this book in one of her videos and it sounded just right up my street. And again, it's one of those books I've heard nothing but good things, and that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. So again, I don't know loads about this book. From what I can gather, that it's set in a world where there are witches and they are controlled by the seasons, and they can only control their magic or use their magic during a certain season. But our main character, who is called Clara, she is an Everwitch, and an Everwitch can control their magic throughout all of the seasons of the year. I believe that's what that's about. For centuries, witches have maintained the climate, but now their control is faltering as the atmosphere becomes more erratic, the storms more destructive. All hope lies with Clara, a once-in-a-generation Everwitch whose magic is tied to every season. From what I can gather, again, I'm really looking forward to reading this because I feel like this will tie nicely or link quite nicely to my interest with my degree, because apparently there's a very good commentary of climate change within this book and how the climate is being affected by our actions and the dangers of that, essentially. The way it's delivered through this YA witchy fantasy, I'm really looking forward to exploring. I believe the author recently released another book as well that's kind of a similar vibe, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. And yeah, even the cover's stunning, like look at that. And then the final book in today's book haul, I picked it up because, okay, I haven't finished reading the book yet, but I already know that I love his writing and I have wanted to delve into more of his work. And I've done so much research into which books would be best to read. And this series in particular just seems so beloved by so many. And I read his little blog that he wrote alongside this book, and he sold it to me. He sold this series to me, essentially. That is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, which is the first book in the Mistborn series. So, like I just said, I haven't finished Elantris yet. I'm still reading it, and I'm still loving it, and I'm taking my time with it, especially since this is a standalone. He has said he plans to write more books in this series, in this world, but at the moment, Elantris is a standalone, so I'm happily taking my time with it. But when I read the plot of The Final Empire, no one told me this was a heist story. Brandon Sanderson did write in this blog post that even though the original inspiration was like heist movies that he loves, like Ocean's 11, it does kind of divert away from that a little bit, but there's romance. Apparently the main character is a bit of an outcast. She's a bit of a unlikely heroine. Brandon Sanderson took the inspiration of, what if the Dark Lord of, a story, what if they won instead of the hero? And what would that world look like? And that was another inspiration for this series, for this book. And I'm ready. You know, he's releasing 4 new books this year. He's just released the first one of that new Cosmere series. And, you know, Brandon Sanderson, he's everywhere at the minute. There are a lot of Brandon Sanderson read-alongs going on as well this year. And I want to be part of it. I just want to delve into more of his work. So, from what I can gather, the Mistborn series is a highly loved series, and I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in, both feet. I'm doing it. Oh, I am so looking forward to reading this, and I'll probably pick this up once I finish Elantris. So, my loves, those are all the books that I have recently picked up or I got gifted to me as Christmas presents. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books, if you like any of these books, and any book recommendations as well. I do have 2 Amazon vouchers that I plan to use to get some books when I head back to uni. So keep your eyes peeled for another book haul in the future. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Comment the book stack emoji if you have made it this far. If you have made it this far, mwah, thank you so much. I hope you have all had a lovely new year. Happy New Year. I'm sorry I didn't say that at the start. And yeah, thank you for watching again, and I will see you all hopefully in the next video.